Today, the Liberal government voted against our opposition proposal that would require all-party support for recommendations to overhaul the rules of Parliament. By doing so, the Liberal government has confirmed its intention to run roughshod over the opposition's rights to hold the government to account. This is truly regrettable, and it's arrogant on behalf of the government. While we are always open to discussions about improving the way the House of Commons operates, the government's heavy-handed approach has left us with little choice but to use the procedural tools at our disposal to protect the rights of parliamentarians to hold this government to account. While the Liberal House Leader claims to want engagement and meaningful discussions, her government's actions betray this in favour of a unilateral power grab. The Prime Minister and the Government House Leader can fix this mess by publicly committing that overhauling the rules of Parliament will only occur with the consent of all parties. Until such a commitment is made, we, the official opposition, cannot in good faith work with this government.
Just to conclude, I'm Murray Rankin, the House Leader for the New Democratic Party. It may be a little unusual for you to see Candice Bergen and I standing here, but we are the opposition recognized parties, and we're here to say that this is simply unacceptable. This power grab by the government, dressed up in polite words like modernization, has to be seen for what it is. Getting it out of the Procedure Committee and having a dialogue is one idea that we will continue to propose to the government. Mr. Chrétien did something along those lines. We're here to make this work, but we're not here to let this government run roughshod over the rights of opposition parties. We're here to defend Parliament, and we will do so together. Questions?
What's the main objection to what the government wants to do? Is it that the fact that they want to do it, or?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Murray.
Well, I think the objection is the way in which they're doing it. The process has virtually always been that the government changes the House rules if and only if it has the support of the opposition parties. That is not what they're doing now. They're calling it modernization, which is a nice word, but it's making changes to the way we do business, and they have never once said they will do what Mr. Chrétien, Mr. Harper, and previous Prime Ministers have done, namely do so only with the support of the opposition. This is the rules of democracy. This isn't the rules of how the Liberal Party works in the House of Commons.
Well, there are a few options that we have. We're not going to get into specifics today, but what we are committed to is using every tool that we have available to stop what we see as an arrogant Prime Minister who thinks that he's entitled to either break the rules, or if he doesn't like the rules, he can change them arbitrarily. We have an obligation to stand up for every member of Parliament in this House. As Mr. Rankin said, this is not the Liberals' House of Commons. These are members of Parliament who have been elected by Canadians. So we will use every tool available, and we have given this government every chance. Our request is extremely reasonable. It's not unprecedented. In fact, we've done a lot of research, and over 90%, about 95% of the major changes that have happened in the standing orders over the last 150 years have been by consensus. So that's not unprecedented, and that's the only thing that we're asking, is that we continue with that.
So what happens next? Do you go back into committee then again tomorrow afternoon? Where do things go from here?
Well, I guess that's what the government wants. Let's remember, it's the government that chose to proceed this way. First, they called it a discussion paper, then they immediately transformed it into a motion that one of their members used in committee, and I think they've poisoned the well in the Procedure Committee. If they want to go back there and do it again, I guess they're back in business tomorrow. Are there other alternatives? You bet there are, and we're open to those alternatives. What we're not open to is unilateral changes to the House of Commons to suit the Liberal Party of Canada.
Surely it's not just the process. I mean, you guys aren't in the same tent. There must be something you object to in what is supposed to be changed.
Well, we're not talking about legislation that governs Canadians, all right? There's one thing about a government that wants to change legislation. We might agree with some of their legislation, we might oppose it. We have different tools available in order to do that. At some point, a majority government passes its legislation. This is about the rules around the House of Commons. Justin Trudeau was not entitled to just arbitrarily make changes to the House of Commons rules. So we actually are very frustrated and upset with what they're doing. In terms of specific changes, listen, Each member of Parliament has a right to be part of that discussion, to talk about what they think might need to be changed, to disagree, to be part of the consensus. So we really are putting a very strong stance up against the Liberals' arrogance and primarily this Prime Minister who doesn't want to be held to account. He wants to change the rules because they don't suit him. He doesn't want to be here. This is a nuisance. You know, sure, I have problems personally with him only wanting to show up on a Wednesday. I don't like that. I think that he should be here every day. But you know what? If he only wants to be here on a Wednesday, he actually can come on a Wednesday and answer all the questions. He doesn't have to change our rules to do that. And that's our point.